So I just want to preface this video because when I first filmed this, I did not know, but now I know. I found out yesterday on April 6th that I got accepted into the Brown RISD Dual Degree program, so I should make a video on that in the future. The Brown RISD Dual Degree program is a program where you receive 2 degrees at the end of graduation. It's a 5-year program, so I'll be in college for 5 years if I choose to attend the program. Only 19 kids were accepted this year for an estimated 15 people that will choose to go there. So 19 out of 696 people were accepted this year, which is between 2 and 3%, I believe. So I'm just really happy and I'm really blessed and I'm so thankful for this opportunity. And so just know that this RISD portfolio also got me accepted into the Brown RISD Dual Degree program. So I'm so thankful to be attending Brown and RISD at the same time, hopefully in the future. So I'll make a video showing my Brown portfolio as well. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, it's Yomi. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you my art portfolio, which I applied to the #1 nation. I'm in the #1 art school in the United States. It's the most selective RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, and it has a 16% acceptance rate this year. When I applied, I thought I had a high acceptance rate. I don't know why, but then I got accepted, and I'm like, wait, what? Did they accidentally send the letter to the wrong person? Because stuff like that has happened to me. Not exactly, but maybe in a future video, I can explain stuff like that. But I got in, and I looked it up, and it said it had a 25% acceptance rate. Then I went to an accepted students webinar, and they said this year that the acceptance rate was 16%, and it was very selective. And I was like, what? I know some people's portfolios were super, super good. I just know that they spent so much time, and I only spent like an hour. So what I did was I applied for most of the schools I applied to. I applied with a portfolio because a lot of the schools, like the state universities and private universities, they allow you to apply with a portfolio. And I just did it not because I necessarily wanted to do art at the schools, but because I wanted to strengthen my applications and get in by doing whatever I could to get in. And I knew, okay, so I'm somewhat strong at art, so I should apply with my portfolios. So I applied to many schools, and RISD was probably one of the last portfolios that I did. So you put your portfolio in through SlideRoom. SlideRoom allows you to like do your portfolio for art or put your dance videos or whatever you need to do for your requirements for the school you're applying to. So SlideRoom is through the Common App. And through my SlideRoom, like it saves all the pictures that you've already uploaded. So for RISD, I just picked the best pictures that I had uploaded to all the schools and I compiled them to make my portfolio, and I just edited the descriptions to make sure that they were nice, but I didn't spend a long time on the descriptions either. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna apply. My mom wanted me to apply. She's like, Yomi, apply here. I'm like, no. But I ended up applying. My teacher's like, Yomi, apply to art schools, apply to art schools. I'm like, I don't want to. I want to go to a liberal arts school. But you know what? It doesn't matter. If you're good at dance, apply to performing arts schools. Apply for if whatever you're good at, apply to schools for that. Apply to private schools, public schools, state universities, out-of-state schools. I know so many kids who are super smart and they're like, I'm not gonna apply out of state because I don't have the money. You think I have the money? There are some schools that literally almost give me a full ride and they're out of state. And there are people who are way smarter than me and they don't want to apply. Like, you never know, you may get in. So just put everything that you have, put it out on the table because you never know. Like, getting into RISD has literally changed my mind, and I feel like it's validated me as an artist, and it's made me actually want to go to the school. I don't know where I'm going yet, but it's made me want to go here. I didn't want to go here before, but now that I got in, I want to go. So just apply everywhere. Apply to Ivy League, apply whatever you're capable of doing, apply there. But so as I said, I didn't spend much time on my portfolio. I'm not saying that as a flex. I'm not bragging. If you didn't get in, I'm sorry. I hope this can inspire you to maybe next year apply to art schools again. Or I'm not doing this to brag or to make people feel bad, because these pieces did take a long time, and I have compiled portfolios in the past for AP Drawing and AP 2D Art, which I did through Miss Daga, my AP Art teacher, and I'm just so thankful for her, because although nobody helped me with my portfolio for RISD or for my other schools that I applied to for my state universities and public and private universities, she literally helped me so much with my portfolio for those AP classes and it's a very rigorous, those portfolios. And I got a 5 on both exams. Once again, I'm not flexing. I got a 5 on both exams, and I worked really hard on those. And like this piece right here, I put this in my RISD portfolio, and I put it in my AP2D art portfolio, and it took me like 26 hours. So it's not like it took me an hour to make my portfolio for RISD. It really took me 16 years of experience. So let's get that through your head. If you didn't get into RISD or Pratt or what are the other schools, Ringling, or I know there's a lot of art schools, don't think that you're not an artist. I know I said that this, I feel like this validates me, but don't let it validate you or invalidate you. Just because you didn't get in doesn't mean you're not good. You may not be what they're looking for. They may not have had space. Whatever school, even if you didn't apply for art, you got this. Keep on going. If you didn't get into any school this year, apply next year. Keep on going. This is your future, and you need to put all that you have on the table forward. So I'm going to be doing a, like I said, Slide Room is digital, so that's where you submit your portfolio through the Common App. So I'm just going to be showing all of my pieces, like almost in a slideshow, but I'm probably going to spend like a minute or two explaining each piece, and I'm just going to have a voiceover over it, because I don't have the technology or the software to just put the image there and explain it. So you're not going to be seeing my face for a while, but I'll be explaining my portfolio to you. And let's get started, guys, because I'm excited, man. I'm hype, and I feel like I can inspire somebody. So let's get started. So the portfolio section allows you to submit 22 items. I only submitted 15 images. So this is the first image right here. It is entitled Self-Portrait, and the medium was colored pencil. The size was 18 inch by 24 inch, so it was a huge picture. And I copied this exactly off of an image, and I'm going to be showing the additional details section, which has a description of the pieces right next to the image, so you can read those while I'm explaining the pictures. So I copied this exactly off of a photograph. I did this completely in art class, except for the blue background and for the hair. I did that sitting at my desk. So I was sitting at a degree which the desk was not raised on a regular school desk. So it was a very terrible angle, and I managed to do this, which ended up being very nice, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So the only things I changed about the picture was I changed the color of my glasses. I made them white, and I changed my scarf. So my scarf was a scarf that my dad got from the Middle East, I believe, maybe Tunisia, I'm not sure, but I loved that scarf. But it had so many details, and so did my shirt. So I just changed it up, and I gave myself a fall-like scarf and added these squares, and it has depth in the scarf too, so it still looks realistic. So I really like this portrait, 18 inch by 24. It's always good to start with a self-portrait to show personality and to show who you are. So this next image is called Pharaoh's Daughter and Baby Moses. So the medium is colored pencil and the size is 24 inches by 18 inches. So I did this for my AP 2D studio art concentration my sophomore year of high school. And so this is basically an image of, you see the Egyptian servant or slave. She's fanning Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh is the king of Egypt, and she's holding a baby that is wrapped in red. So you can basically see the baby because he's wrapped in red, and she's looking at the water, looking at how she just discovered this baby. And in the distance is Moses' sister Miriam, and the Egyptian water reeds. She's dressed in green, so you can't really see her, and that was done on purpose so you couldn't see her. And she's looking through the distance, looking at her baby brother, making sure that he was found and that he was okay and that he's alive. There's a long story behind this, so you can look up the story of Moses and all that, so you can kind of understand why I did this. And I love the beautiful background of the sunset and the galaxy, and it's just, I love it. I had to do so much research for the Egyptian water goose or whatever, the Egyptian lion looking in the baby's cradle, little basket, the Egyptian water reeds, the Egyptian palaces, and I don't know if it's a parallel almost, and of the sun and the moon being on the opposite side, because in the Bible, the sun and the moon is described as a lesser light and the sun is described as a greater light, because the moon's light is lesser because its light is reflected off of the sun. So they're on two opposite sides, and the Egyptians, they worship the sun god Ra, who was their main god at the time. And I had in my AP concentration, throughout the pictures, the moon started to slowly eclipse the sun, showing that the Israelites had become free from Egyptian slavery and had overtaken the greater light, the sun, kind of Ra in a sense. So that's why I did the sun and the moon on the opposite side. So that's very important as well. Even though
I don't think they knew this when I submitted my portfolio. So number 3, the Crowned Woman, Zendaya. Medium marker and colored pencil, and the size is 9 inch by 24 inches. So this image is of Zendaya. It doesn't really look like her, which is fine. But I saw a beautiful photo shoot that she did, and I saved it to my phone, and I said, that is so beautiful. I need to draw that. And most images that I save to my phone that I want to draw, I never draw, and I never look at them again. But I just scrolling through my phone, I was like, I can never do that. That is just too detailed. But then I decided to challenge myself, and it's one of the best challenges that I've ever taken and has probably opened me up to so many opportunities. This is one of my strongest pieces of my portfolio. And I copied this exactly from the photograph, and beautiful photo shoot. Shout out to the photographer and to Zendaya for being so beautiful, and to her makeup team and to her costume design team. And I added the galaxy. That's the only thing that I added, because I love adding galaxies, stars, and highlights. That's my thing. That's my art trademark. So this next image is of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So the medium is colored pencil, and the title is Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and the size is 24 inch by 18 inch. So it's the same size as my self-portrait, but it's the other way around. So this is a picture of Adam and Eve and all the animals in the Garden of Eden. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil are in the center, and I have all of these types of ecosystems. I have a waterfall, I have a river, I have this type of desert-like terrain, but I also have rocks and a mountainous, hilly terrain. And I just imagine all of these different terrains in the Garden of Eden with all of these different animals, even a red panda, but you also see a mammoth in the background. So I had to work on sizing of my animals, and they're looking up to the sky. I don't remember why, but they're looking up at the sky. And there's a lion and the lamb and the dove representing God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. So I don't know, maybe this kind of helped my portfolio, because it kind of showed what was important to me and how I was just okay with being very discreet. Is discreet the word? I was okay with being very honest about what I liked and what was important to me. And in art, you should show what's important to you. That's really important in a portfolio. You should show who you are. So this next image is entitled Torrin Wells Flipped. The medium is acrylic paint, and the size is 9 inch by 12 inch. So I didn't Photoshop, but I digitally edited 2 photos of one of my favorite singers, Torrin Wells, together. One, he is looking away from the camera, one, he's looking directly at the camera, and I digitally edited those photos together. I made a grid, and I gridded the image, and I drew this drawing exactly, and I changed the color scheme. I changed the color of his suit, both of his suits, and I made a color scheme that was warm and cool, so there's a contrast between the blue and purple and the yellow and red on the other side. And that showed the electric vibe that his music has. That's the way that I described it. And then I digitally flipped, reversed, and glitched the image, which just created something that's beautiful and very electric and album cover like, and I just love the way that it honestly came out. And I think this is a very strong piece as well. So this next image, 6 out of 15, is the best in the verse. The best in the verse, Big Flo et Oli. So these are my favorite French rappers, Big Flo and Oli. And the medium is colored pencil, and the size is 9 inch by 12 inches. So I just copied them exactly from a photograph with a grid, of course. And everything else was created completely by me. I created the galaxy background. I color coordinated the galaxy colors to represent their brand, which is Visionaire. You can see the Visionaire logo, the V enclosed inside of the eye, which is on one of the planets. That's their brand, their logo. So I used blue, red, and yellow for the color scheme of the background. And for the planets, I made them based off of their heritage. Some of them are just random. One of them is based off of their logo. One of the planets is based off France. That's where they live in France. That's where they were born. And their dad is from Argentina. Their mom is from Algeria. So that's how I created that. I created the stars in them, in the galaxy, and I added the crown. I made the crown up. And this image is much more vibrant. I toned it down and lessened the saturation for my AP drawing portfolio to go with the theme that I was going with. So this is a 9 inch by 12 inch, and this is a very strong piece, I would think, as well. So this next picture is Addison Rae Distorted. I love this piece so much. So I did this in my sketchbook during quarantine, during maybe March or April, and this is when Addison Rae was first becoming very popular, a TikTok star. And this image was in color. It was done with marker as the base, and colored pencil was done added on top to add detail. And you can see all the details in the furrows in her brow and in her wrinkled forehead because of her expression. Her face is put against her hand, and that's why she looks so surprised. And I just thought that showed a lot of, I don't know, artistic, I don't know, it just showed so much interestingness, and it intrigues you when you look at the picture. So the medium is marker, colored pencil, and digital drawing because I edited this digitally. The size is 5" by 7", which is an approximation. But I added you can see the background, which is almost like crosses in the background. That was digitally added. And I add color to this picture. I digitally edited it to black and white, not completely, but the saturation is almost all the way down. And I added color to go with my AP drawing portfolio. And I added the lines, and it just creates a sense of anxiety. Her face looks anxious, and then the lines create anxiousness. And I just love the way that turned out. So this next picture is entitled Chiseled, parentheses, Troy Ho, parentheses. So his name is Troy Ho. He's an Instagram model, and I just love how his features are so chiseled. So I just had to draw him. So I screenshotted one of his selfies on Instagram, and I drew it. I didn't even use a grid, which I'm happy with the way it came out. The mediums are marker and colored pencil, and the size is 5" by 9", which is an approximation because this was done in my sketchbook. This image was done in color too. I used marker for the base and used colored pencil to add onto the marker base to add detail. And you can see how the values of this drawing are pretty good, which even though I edited it into black and white, the values are still decent, which is good. So I edited it into black and white digitally, and then I blurred the background and made the background even. And it seems like almost like a photograph where you take a photo of someone and the background is purposely blurred. And I added the white highlight digitally to kind of accent his face and accent his neck and his shirt. So that's why I did that. This next picture, number 9 out of 15, is called Zhang and Kai, the Hmong mother and her baby. So the Hmong people are a people group that live in East Asia and Southeast Asia. The largest number of Hmong live in China. They also live in, I believe, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, and maybe some other countries. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there are a lot of Hmong Americans in the United States as well because there's a whole historical thing there. But the medium is colored pencil, black sand, and gold glitter paint, and the size is 9" by 12", so standard. What most art paper is 9" by 12". So I did a lot of research on this. For my cultural pieces, which you'll see a lot of those later, I use a lot of reference images, around 15 to 50 reference images I'll download to my phone. So I reference a lot of images of her suit, not her suit, but of her outfit. And I watched YouTube videos on the Hmong and how they lived and how they made their clothing, and I saw such beautiful videos, and learning about cultures is amazing, honestly. So you can see her headdress in a sense, and her shirt, and you can see the baby on her. That just tells a story, which you can see in the additional details section where I explain the piece. And I drew all of her and the baby with colored pencil, Prismacolor colored pencils, and the background was done with sand. When I added sand to my pictures, I added glue to the pictures around the painting or around the drawing, and then I added the black sand and spread it to make it even, and then I added gold glitter paint on top of it once the sand was dry. And I like the way this turned out. It's pretty decent. So this next picture is called Kiraji, the Tuareg man and his indigo tagelmus. The medium is oil paint, sequins, and puff paint, and the size is 9" by 12". So the Tuareg people live in northern Africa, and as you can tell, I love to learn about cultures, and that's what my brand is focused on. And towards the latter half of my portfolio, you really start to see that. So a lot of these pictures were made in the past 3 years for my portfolio. I didn't plan these out to make it for this specific portfolio, but I ended up submitting them. So he's wearing his indigo tagelmus. So the Tuareg people are often referred to as blue because the indigo in their tagelmus and in their outfits rubs off into their skin and stains their skin. So you can see the blue in his face. And these people are pastoralists, and they herd animals, and they're nomadic, so they move around the Sahara Desert, I think. Yes, the Sahara Desert. So I use oil paint for this whole picture. I use oil paint for the background, and tried to create a contrast between the blue, and I added blue streaks in the background too, but I made the background kind of match his skin color. So this had a lot of planning in the color scheme. So the background is raised as well. You can see how there's a 3D effect, and I really wanted to create that effect. And I added the blue sequins onto his Tagelma suit, and I added the blue puffy paint around him to accent him, and so you focus on him. So the focal point is very clear. He is the focal point of this picture, and I think the composition is very decent. So number 11 out of 15 is entitled The Man in the Rice Fields. The medium is origami paper, watercolor paint, and inking pen. The size is 5 inch by 5 inch. So I like this and how this picture kind of shows how he's kind of submissive. He's looking almost at the camera or at the viewer. And this man doesn't exist. He wasn't based off a reference. He was based off of many reference images. So his hands are behind his back. He's just kind of looking, and he has a story to tell, but you don't know what his story is. So I did this on watercolor paper, which I bought in elementary school when I was obsessed with anime and Japanese, learning Japanese and origami. I was obsessed with that for like a year and never looked back at anime and Japanese culture ever again. So I still had a lot of origami paper left over, and I still have some. So I used this colorful origami paper, to have this Chinese man on this picture. He's not even Japanese. So, yeah, he's wearing a Southeast Asian hat, the traditional traditional Southeast Asian hat that even Raya in the movie Raya and the Last Dragon wears. And you can see the grass, that's kind of transparent with him. So that picture is very simple and shows that I can do simple pieces too, but still tell a story. So this next image is Ayumi's engaging sip of tea. It was done, the medium is gold leaf paper, acrylic paint, and glitter paint, and the size is 9 inch by 12 inches. So this was done in gold leaf paper, which I bought from Hobby Lobby, which is very hard to draw on. It was very hard to sketch on, and you could not even see the sketch. So it was very hard to see where I would paint on. The paper is very thin, so it was very hard to paint on as well. And I did the picture with acrylic paint. I saw a reference image of a woman holding up a cup of tea, and I used that to base the image off of. And this was, of course, done with acrylic paint. There is black puffy paint, which I honestly did not put in the medium. There probably wasn't space for that, but I put it to accent her. And I put glitter paint, which had shards of little shiny glittery things in it. It's pink kind of glitter paint, a glitter acrylic paint. And I put that over her kimono and over her face. I put gold glitter paint to showcase how she's beautiful and she's a geisha. And this was done as part of my Hafu series. Who the Hafu people, they're people who are half Japanese, half something else. So in this case, she's half Japanese, half black. So I don't know what her heritage is, but she's half black. And she's just very elegant. And I like that, how she's looking kind of at you, but kind of in the distance. So this next picture is El Mariachi Negra con la Trompeta, the black mariachi woman with the trumpet. So this was one of my first cultural pieces that I did. The medium is acrylic paint, puffy paint, glitter, and gold sequins, and the size is 9 inch by 12 inches. So I did this with acrylic paint. Everything was painted with acrylic paint. And then after I painted everything, I added glue to the background where nothing was painted. And I added the yellow sand, which the yellow sand looks really, really good on camera. So I added the yellow sand and made sure it was even. Then I added the black puffy paint around her and around the trumpet to kind of have a 3D effect. And I added the white puffy paint to make the stars in the background. I'm a stars type of guy, a galaxy type of guy. If you notice in a lot of my pictures, they have stars and galaxies. And I added the glitter, the purple glitter on her suit and on her nails. And I added gold glitter for her eyeshadow. I believe it's eyeshadow, not mascara. I think that's what it's called. And I used gold sequins for her earrings and brown puffy paint to accent the trumpet as well. So I did a lot of mixed media with this picture, which it shows that I'm very diverse. And I honestly didn't think this through that much when doing this portfolio. I wasn't thinking, I was making sure my portfolio was diverse and showed various strengths, but it wasn't that as calculated as I'm telling you. But now I'm looking back, I can see why maybe they like certain pieces. So that's why I'm kind of giving that insight for you, so you can maybe see what differentiated my portfolio from others maybe. So this is just a guess. So this is 9 inch by 12 inches, which is standard. This next image, the second to last image, is El Mariachi Negro which means the black mariachi man, basically. The medium is acrylic paint, glitter, puffy paint, and black sand, 9 inch by 12 inches. So like my other pieces, this was my first cultural piece that I did. It started my cultural pieces. And I'm just so happy that I did it. I did it on a whim. I started falling in love with mariachi music and Mexican culture and mariachi life through the movie Culture and through the movie Coco and a movie called El Mariachi Gringo. So that's why it's called El Mariachi Negro. He's not El Mariachi Gringo, but El Mariachi Negro. So I based him off of a Mexican singer, Alejandro Fernandez, who sings mariachi music. And Alejandro Fernandez is lighter skin, and I was basing him off of him a little bit and off of the reference image that I saw, but I changed his features a little bit, and I just thought, why don't I make him darker skin? How many darker skinned mariachi people are there? There are black Mexicans, but I'm sure there's not that many darker skinned mariachis. So I decided to represent a darker skinned mariachi person. So this was made with acrylic paint. And I love the pinstripe soup. That color scheme was created by me. And I added the blue glitter onto the pinstripe soup. And I added the red puffy paint, which was my first dealing with puffy paint for an actual piece besides using it on a shirt for fabric paint. I used that to accent him, and you look directly at him. And I just used puffy paint for the yellow and the orange part of his hat, kind of to show the intricate design. And I use black sand in the background, and I use white puffy paint to create the stars. And I love the way the black sand looks because it kind of creates a black and white type of starry effect, and you see the highlights in the black sand, which I think is rather pretty. So this next image is entitled The Boy in the Cafeteria, which I think is very strong because it kind of insinuates that he's some type of random boy, even though he's just some type of random boy. He's just a random kid, and it makes it very candid. So even though he's looking right directly at you. So the medium was pencil, and the size is 4 inch by 8 inch. So the application for RISD is rather late. At least when I did it, it was in January for regular decision. So I did this image in December. I just did it in my sketchbook. I was just doing it for fun. I brought my sketchbook to school that day. I saw my friend, excuse me, and I said, "Wow, I love your outfit. Can I take a picture of you?" And he said, "Oh yeah, sure." So I took a picture of him and basically drew the image directly. And I showed it to him 4 periods later. I did it for 4 periods throughout the day because I didn't have much schoolwork to do. And he loved it. And I used pencil for the whole drawing, except I used white gel pen for his headphones, for the white, for the stars, and for the white highlights, which I did not include the gel pen in the medium, which I could have, but I did not. And the table shows the foreshortening. It shows how the table is coming towards you, and I can show depth in a picture. And also one of his shoulders kind of closer to you than the other, and his body is kind of twisted. So it kind of shows personality and depth, and it's very candid, and I love the fact that it's candid. So that is it for my for my RISD portfolio. I am now going to explain to you my independent project. So for the independent project for RISD for the year 2021-2022 for the incoming class of 2025 was step 1. Identify something that is in need of repair. Use any material or approach to fix it. So this is part 1 of the portfolio. Part 2 is this is part 1 of the slide room. Part 2 is the portfolio. So it says step 1, identify something that is in need of repair. Use any material or approach to fix it. What you choose to fix can be anything from a tangible object to an intangible system. You can choose something objectively broken or something you personally believe is in need of repair. This could be a past art piece, a social or ecological issue, a historical era, technology, etc. Your process is entirely up to you, but your fix should involve intentional modifications that change the original state for the better. It can exist in the realm of aesthetics, function, structure, or in any other capacity. So it says something else in the description, but that's all you need to know for now. So it says a direct upload is preferred, a 10 megabyte limit. So the title of my response is Meghan Markle Portrait. So this image is of Meghan Markle. I was honestly very confused if I was supposed to submit the part where the image is broken and needs fixing first, or if I was supposed to put the finished picture first. But I was like, it probably doesn't matter. They're going to know what I meant to do at the end of the day. So this image is of Meghan Markle. The image, I created this literally a few days before the deadline. I finished this early January, and I submitted my submission for RISD early January, and I didn't do this for my portfolio. So I hadn't really been thinking about what I was going to do for this prompt. I just thought, okay, so I'll just probably add on to a picture that I already did. But this is what I came up with. So step 2 is submit a written statement, 250 word limit, and a single page PDF that provides insight into the creative process you use in your visual response. Your written statement could speak to any of the following: how you identified something in need of repair for applicants choosing a tangible object to repair. We recommend including a single image/recording of the original object in your written statement file. It's helpful for reviewers to have a point of reference when viewing your fix. Your considerations towards problem solving. So the title of my second response is Megan's World. So I'm going to show you my RISD portfolio statement. So it says, my portrait seemed bland and was unfinished. So I just basically show where the portrait isn't finished and it's just her face and her neck and her hair isn't done at all and the background isn't done. So it's just white. So it says, my portrait seemed bland and was unfinished. It needed a flair to make the drawing aesthetically pleasing. I used an art supply that was nostalgic not only to me but to most people: scratch note paper. I scratched the black layering off of a few sheets of scratch note paper, which revealed the rainbow color underneath. I methodically cut the paper into little shapes to fit around Meghan Markle's head, which took many hours. I glued the scratch note paper onto the portrait, which brightened the portrait. The drawing began to fit into my very colorful art style. The picture finally became aesthetically pleasing. What originally inspired me to fix the portrait was the fact that the drawing was boring and no different than any other drawing of Meghan Markle. It needed to have flair and be original. I don't like drawing realistic portraits that don't have my own original touch. I am beyond satisfied, excuse me, with the end result. Sorry, I'm coughing a lot because I've been talking a lot. So basically, I just took when I draw an image, I'll take many photographs of the process. So this is one photograph I took of the process, and I'm like, oh, I have many photographs of me drawing Meghan Markle, so I can use that as the original image, what needs to be fixed. And for the end, I can show how I added the scratch note paper, which was something that was very artistic that I chose to do, which I usually don't do things like that. So I had to be very crafty and glue the scratch note paper, which little kids use, and I glued the scratch note paper to the background, which I think they may like. So that's what I did for that assignment. And that is essentially it for my RISD portfolio and for my RISD form, which I submitted. And then that's all I had to submit. It cost $10 to submit a portfolio, but because I had a fee waiver, my admission or my portfolio submission was completely free, which I am so thankful for. So that is it for my portfolio.